It's not actually me. I know you can't tell it's me. I probably can't tell because I'm not wearing my jacket or my pink shirt. It's not actually me, Agnes. I'm an imposter. I'm so sorry.
You're forgiven this time.
I'm forgiving this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome live from Long Island, New York. We're going to be talking about imposter syndrome here on Love, Death, and Taxes. I'm Ryan O'Neill Williams. This is my co-host, Agnes Amasano, and let's get right into it. All right, you happy now? Are you happy? Tell me you're happy now. You saw the picture?
Yes.
And we did change it up a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's fine. Is it really you? I don't know. Is it you or not? We can't really tell. Um, this week, earlier this week, there was a webinar. I attended a webinar, and the topic was, using video and the problem sometimes people have with what is called imposter syndrome. And I know it's one of those zeitgeist words. It's out here. We talk about it. It's like one of those things that you hear all the time, like a trending word. Imposter syndrome. What does that mean? And I guess a lot of business people and or professionals might be hearing it a lot because that is really who it affects a lot. You know, us high achievers or people who want to be high achievers and then not necessarily have it. Agnes, what do you know about this? Do you know anything about this? Have you heard about this recently?
Well, thank you for bringing my not so much until you start talking about it.
Okay.
But it's very interesting, and automatically I have to tell you that my childhood kind of come to my mind.
Right.
It was like, wow, that's what it was. I mean, like I don't have that myself.
Right now.
I don't that feeling, but very easily I could fall into it because one of the causes of having it, it's from our parents, the way they parent kids, that they can fall into certain way of feeling about themselves. And that was done to me and my sisters, and I think everyone that I know from that era. It was a certain way of raising children that it was very easy to fall into.
I'm not going to blame your parents. I'm going to say it can be a cultural thing. It can be a generational, possibly. I mean, the generation right before ours was very much like, hey, we're going to war and we're stopping this and we're doing that. So you shouldn't be crying about anything. Don't you ever complain about anything. So maybe that is something that they could look at in that way. But our general understanding of it, what exactly it is. And by the way, it's not an actual syndrome because I think when people hear syndrome, they think that we're hearing it's like a mental disorder or something. The truth is, it's not a mental. It's more like just having anxiety or being, oh my gosh, like worried about something, and it persists. It's not exactly, according to all the sources I've looked up, it's not an actual syndrome, but we refer to it that way because it's easy. That's how we are, right? And it's not an actual syndrome, but it's like a psychological phenomenon characterized by persistent self-doubt and the inability to internalize one's achievements. So it's so funny. It's paradoxical, right? In that it's people who have actually achieved a lot, who have achieved things, who think that they're imposters, that they need to be somebody else to be recognized for those achievements or to move forward. It's so interesting. Um, and then the idea is it's not actually a syndrome, but it's not recognized as a mental disorder. It's just a pattern of
Psychological.
behavior and thought process. Yeah,
It's more
it's a pattern.
psychological, yes. That, but it's very important. It should not be ignored
Right.
and should be acknowledged. Like the person who is experiencing this way of thinking should acknowledge that, especially to their partners, because that affects them. The feelings insecurity. It will reflect on their personal life, on the relationships, on the life approach, and work, and of course self-worth.
Yes, yes. You don't
Yeah.
want that. I mean, the idea is that you feel as though you need to be somebody else in order to be great. Like and there's so many things that can trigger it, right? I know. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am not 25 years old anymore. I happen to be. I turned 50 last year, so um, I specifically remember when the towers went down on 9/11. I had a friend who passed away. He was an accountant, and he passed away in the towers. And when they had his funeral, he used to work in the church that I worked at. I used to go to. He used to be, a part of the community in Flatbush, and the church was packed. The church was packed, and the whole time I was at that funeral, I mean, he was a young person, and clearly it was a giant tragedy. But the whole time I was at that funeral, I was thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, will this number of people actually show up for my funeral?" Uh, uh, this person has touched so many people in his community, in our church, whatever. So everybody showed up. I mean, it was one guy, but it was standing room only. People flew in from Florida, from Jamaica, from all over to come and see this. And there was a part of me that was like, oh my gosh, when will I ever, you see a lot of funerals most of the time, unless they're state funerals or big, things with people who are famous, you don't see, that kind of, hey, this person affected me, or he was such a great guy, or whatever it was. And I definitely felt a little bit like I haven't achieved enough in life, even though, we were in our 20s at the time. I was what, maybe 20, 26, 27 in 2011 or something like that. And so, yeah, if you're a young person, you're going to have a lot more friends than as you get. I realize that's the other thing. As you get older, sometimes you don't have as many friends. Because some of them, pass away, but then some of them you've decided, oh, maybe that's not for me, that sort of
You will outgrow a lot of people. A lot of our youth relationships, we simply outgrow them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but yes, it is. So yeah, that's one way. Like I looked and saw his achievement, and it triggered. I believe it triggered in me imposters. Like, who am I? And I was doing well. I think at the time I owned a home. I had a car. I had a steady girlfriend. What was, what are you complaining about? There's no real reason to complain, but I was doing that to myself, like, oh my gosh, I didn't create enough. I've not, put my indelible touch on the world yet. So I think that's one of the things that triggers it. What else? What do you think also makes people feel like they are imposters and not really that special?
Well, I found that
Mhm.
we have actually that there's recognized five different types of
Oh,
imposters
okay,
in
okay,
that category. Okay.
okay.
So there is the first one is perfectionist,
No.
which is unless it's unless absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Then I guess wanting everything to be perfect, and of course no one else can do it. That person has to do it
Yeah.
because otherwise it's not going to be perfect. So
Uh,
the perfectionist,
oh boy.
the expert, they don't know everything. There's always to learn more. So they cannot be called, like they're expert in a field,
Yeah.
but they don't, because we're talking about people that they are actually achieve a lot, people that
Yes.
they are famous, people that are smart.
Right.
So this is not, again, this is not a mental disorder. This is simply psychological phenomena that
Yeah.
we are recognizing, and not too many people knows about it.
Right. Right.
So the expert, like perfectionist, the expert, they don't want to be called expert because there is so much still more to learn, which I guess I recognize with that myself. So there is always more to learn,
That's the thing. But if you are
and
consistently
I
like
do have
learning and
that
learning and learning, okay,
hunger for
yeah,
knowledge.
yeah. Mhm. I
Yeah.
feel like if you're
There
constantly
is
thinking,
not.
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, go finish.
I was going to say, if you constantly feel as if you are learning, you need to learn more, you need to learn more, you need to learn more. That's when you actually fall behind because
Yeah.
you're not actually doing the things that, or taking part in the things that you actually should be doing, right? That I think
Yes.
that
Yes.
it's
Yes.
such an interesting thing.
Yeah. Then the third one, the natural genius. Don't believe that they are naturally intelligent or competent. It takes longer for them to master a skill. Then they must be an imposter if it takes that long for them to do that.
Ooh, that one hurts. That one hurts. You know why that hurts? At a young age, my mother was she had a master's degree in child psychology and uh, the gifted, and the time we used to use this word retardation, and she used me as a guinea pig a lot, and I took a lot of tests, and she found out early on by using me that I was actually like gifted. The test. I either was really good at the tests or I was gifted. So my IQ was high. And so I've always thought, oh my gosh, my IQ is great, but how come I'm not getting the same grades as this guy who's really brilliant in this, or this guy who's brilliant? So you compare yourself sometimes to other people and realize that look, maybe you're smart with language, maybe you're smart with math, maybe this person is smart in emotional understanding and not necessarily the other thing. So it's a really interesting thing where, oh, that's a tough one. You know you're smart, but then you're just like, I'm not smart in that thing or that thing, and then you diminish yourself. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. Then the fourth one is the soloist. If they have to ask for help to reach their status or a level that they want to reach, since they couldn't get there on their own, there must be a problem.
Um, Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the best businesses, the biggest businesses, are done by 3 or 4 people who come together, pool their resources together, and go further. Like they say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, you got to go with friends, right? Or go with a group.
The power of a team, of a team,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And then the fifth one, the super person. You must be the hardest working person or reach the highest level of achievement possible, possibly. Otherwise, you are a fraud.
Wow, wow, wow. So yeah, you're so right.
So
Like these
you
are
must be the
all
hardest
triggers.
working person and to achieve everything on your own. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very complex, very complex. But again,
Mhm, mhm.
it's really affecting everything that you do in your life. You
Yeah, yeah.
overthinking it, everything. Your self-esteem is like you're not worthy. You're not worthy of somebody's love. You're not worthy of somebody's understanding. You're not worthy of that position. You're not worthy of a promotion.
Right, right. You feel you're not worth. Hmm.
And yet the most smartest yeah, and and there are people that are well accomplished, maybe because they're working harder than anybody else, but they're not being able to celebrate your success. Because don't you think that that will stop them from celebrating themselves?
Absolutely. They don't want part of one of the things here is, the next step that we're going to go through is how it affects people. And one of the first things that they say is they refuse to accept any accolades. They don't want to receive gifts. They don't want to receive. I specifically remember, and I know this guy, like in your mind, you think of him as a different thing. But I remember Will Smith was the first guy to get the Grammy Award, and he refused the Grammy Award for rap. And he was like, I don't want this. I'm not taking it. Partially because he said it wasn't out on the front, but also, honestly, let's be honest. Will Smith is not the best rapper in the world. There are a lot of other really good rappers, and for whatever reason, they had chosen to give it to him because
That
it looked like he was like the safe person. But I think he also should have taken it because he added a lot to, the culture, and it is what it is, right? But yeah, there are a lot of people who just choose. Yeah, they will not accept any kind of accolades. They don't want any awards. If you tell them, they're like, oh my gosh, you're telling me that. Oh, I don't want to hear that. They can't. It makes them so uncomfortable, which I guess in most cases, most people feel uncomfortable receiving praise. But these people really don't want it. They're like, how dare you? I'm not special. There's nothing special. I hear some people take their awards and throw them away or just put them in a closet. I'm like, what? It's great. It's not crazy, but it's because we don't even want to use that word, but it's definitely not the way you should handle the fact that you are good at what it is that you do. You're being awarded.
in my opinion, life is so short that we should celebrate ourselves. We should celebrate any achievement, and not to brag to everybody. Oh, look at me, I'm this or that. It's not that. It's just simply to know our own value, to know our own worth, to be able to celebrate even little successes because they add up to a bigger one. So, and to have understanding that okay, maybe this time something didn't come out, but doesn't mean that's going to stop me from achieving my goal next time. Um, Anything like that, how we teach our kids that sky is the limit, keep going because you're good enough, because you are wonderful, and not to be able to feel that it's just so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad to not be able to enjoy both the fruit of your labor and the fact that other people recognize that you could do it. I'm going to read off some of the other triggers that they say here.
Mhm.
Yeah, you said perfectionism. So there are people who are always thinking, "Oh my gosh, I need to be more perfect than this. This isn't it." But there are also comparisons. They're always comparing themselves, which is the thing that I was talking about. The fact that I was comparing myself. This young man died at 20 something, and I'm comparing myself to the group of people who are in. Cultural and organizational factors, like some cultures that have emphasized project, and I don't necessarily mean like the entire culture of the United States, but it could be the culture at a particular workplace where everybody's like, everybody has to be perfect here. And then that makes it difficult for you because you may not be absolutely perfect. You are going to make some errors. You are going to make some changes. You're going to make some issues. And then the other thing that they say does it triggers that triggers imposter syndrome for many people is having a major life change, like getting a promotion and feeling like, oh, I don't know if I should have gotten that, or a career shift. And it could be the other way down too. It could be going down or significant life events. And I can tell you straight up, if you go into a divorce or sometimes you get married, and you're like, do I deserve this? Why do I deserve this? What has happened? Right? And you start to think to yourself, what's going on? You're laughing at me. I see you laughing, but I know, I know. It those kinds of changes, either professional or personal, can can definitely rock your world and make you wonder, how am I handling this, or how should I handle this?
Becoming a parent, I can see being scared,
Yes.
being doubtful if I'm going to be a good parent or not, if I'm going to stand to the task.
Mm.
Getting a new job. Every time I went to a new position, I give myself 2 weeks and write everything down and make sure that everything is done. The first 2 weeks, I give myself like, I have to adopt. I have to cope. And so maybe stressing ourselves to do, but it's just what I was lacking in this thing is doubting myself that I'm not going to be able to do it. I knew I will. Maybe I'm too self-assured, but it was like, okay. And when I don't reach my goal at certain point, and I have a lot of dates in my life that, but this, they very rarely I reach my goal by the time put by myself, that by this time I have to get this. um
Mm.
I tend to go easy on myself and I give myself extension. Okay, maybe another year, maybe a few months, and I will get there. But not being able to do that, it's good to do that. It's good to have goals. It's good to have goals in
Yes.
life. It's good to have certain um, dates in mind, like the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan. It's good to have
Right.
that. Few months, in
Right.
6 months, what am I going to do? Because otherwise, I think life will get stale. So, coping with feelings as of not feeling good enough or worthy enough. And when
Right.
it comes to the relationship, talking to your partner helps a great deal of
Okay.
discussing this. And because, especially in marriage, it's teamwork. It's not I'm better than you. It's supposed to be a teamwork.
Okay. So
So
that.
again,
Yeah.
I feel like I keep repeating myself at the in every episode. Talking, discussing, talking, communication. It's very, very important. And reach out for help.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
because yes, social anxieties and like new school, new work, family upbringing. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, it was like, oh, uh, you will never be whoever you want to be. Oh, look at that person, look at that friend, look at that cousin. They're gonna be better than you because they're doing so good. Why can't you be like this? So like not allowing a child to be themselves.
Right. And making them actually
So
see that would trigger it, no question. If other people are
yes.
comparing you as well, that would make it more difficult for you to do so. Yeah. So yeah, I think definitely communicating with that would get you out of there. I think having an awareness of it is a big deal. I mean, until I sat in that webinar and really thought about it, I did not even realize that that is something that slipped into my, like, every now and then, like, where am I with my life and what's happening. There's nothing wrong. It's just you say to yourself, oh, look at that person, especially with things like social media and what you can look and you're just like, oh my gosh, should I be like that? You feel like, oh, I'm not far enough. Meanwhile, people who know me, love me, people who work with me are very pleased with the work that I do. It's so weird that you choose to be putting yourself down when it's clear that you're doing well. It's so funny, but yeah, you're like, okay, it's not perfect, and so it's a problem. But if you're aware of this, you know it, you see it, you feel it, and you understand that that's what's going on. That's when you can probably intervene for yourself and advocate for yourself and say, no, 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 you did this at such and such an age, you did that at such an age, you're actually pretty good at this, look at. But it's tough sometimes. I mean, do you ever feel
Yeah, I
professionally that people are are judging you as well, or is that not, like you said, it's not really a thing you feel?
It, it's I'm not being interested in the judgment.
Okay,
It's
it's
not the matter of feeling. Everyone has a freedom to express their feelings. Everyone, the freedom of speech, freedom of expression. That's one. A lot of people, from psychological point of view, they feel if they are not don't feel important at home, then they feel more need of expressing their opinions or judgments about others.
mm.
Personally, why would I give in to somebody's problem? That's their problem, not mine.
You and I have gotten to the age where it's like,
I mean,
who cares
if
what you think?
someone is mistaken sometimes and offering me their criticism, or a judgment straight to my face, I will nicely correct them and tell them that they are mistaken because I did not give them impression that I care about what they feel. um, you know,
Aneta says hi. I
oh
get hi, Aneta. Right. So yeah, I mean, you're
yeah.
so right. Yeah, we don't
So
care about it. But
it's not yeah.
I was saying that we
I
don't
really
care
don't.
about what other people think, but a lot of times I think the problem is this imposter syndrome thing is more something that's coming from inside of you. It's almost more like it's a self-imposed problem as opposed to something else, or from external. Because you honestly appears as if you're ignoring what everybody else is saying because you've decided you're still not good enough, no matter what they say, no matter how many accolades they give you, and no matter how happy they are, right? That's really what this syndrome is about.
Yes, I found three questions
Great.
that apparently is supposed to help with coping with this syndrome. The first one is, what core beliefs do I hold about myself?
Mm,
So, kind of finding out
it's good for awareness.
pertains to you or not. So, what core beliefs do I hold about myself? I guess, do I feel self worthy? Do I feel worthy of love? Do I feel like I should get something? Like, personally, the way I look at it, it's like I want to achieve something because I
Yes.
want to, because I'm interested in that. So I'm going for it because I can, you know, no one will stop me.
Right.
That's just my desire. And but especially in some of those reality shows that I really watch, but then I hear this: you deserve to have this love, you deserve the happiness. So I guess there's a question of, do I deserve to be happy? Do I deserve to get this? Do I deserve to achieve that? So now, now this helps me, this program helps me understand why people say those things, because to me it's like,
It's funny.
then second question, do I believe I am worthy of love as I am? And that will, if someone doesn't believe that they are worthy of love as they are, that it's leading to mistakes made in relationships, because then you start pretending to be somebody that you are not, and you are assuming that your spouse needs you to be this way. So, what kind of wife do you want me to be? What kind of husband do you want me to be? I'm going to become that person. That's wrong. If you are not that person from the get-go, you're not becoming, because guess what? You can pretend to be somebody else for a year or two, on a year three, it's going to fall apart. And
It's
then
going
where
to
the
be a
relationship is,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
And so this is very, being accepted, just like people saying, I'm going to make you happy, or you're going to
Mm,
make me happy. I expect from my spouse to make me happy. That's such a big responsibility to put and unrealistic expectations to put on someone that you're saying that you love or care about. If you are not happy yourself, if you cannot find happiness yourself with yourself, you do not have a right to put that on somebody else's shoulders. How dare
Yeah, yeah. You don't even know what's going to make you
you,
happy,
I would
basically.
say. That's just so wrong. Very, very wrong. When and I'm guilty. Yeah, and I'm guilty of that when I was in my 20s.
Mm.
But then I grew up, I got a little bit wiser. It's like, no, because at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time with yourself. You
Yes,
cannot cling to someone and put do everything to make me happy. How we have no right to expect from another person turn their lives inside out to make
you happy. Exactly. Very difficult.
us happy. And there is the third question. Must I be perfect for others to appear? Um, do I must my appearance? Do I have to be perfect for others for them to like me, to accept me?
Okay, okay. So that sounds like a very, very deep insecurity to me. Like, okay, I got to be perfect to be. No, you don't have to be perfect. We all are allowed to make a certain amount of mistakes because you're human, and so you should allow that for yourself. But I can see how, as someone who has imposter syndrome, would just focus in on all the issues or the problems that they have. It's comparing themselves or seeing themselves as flawed in that way, like consistently. Yeah, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. Effects. What do you think for business owners and professionals? Because this is who it's going to affect. Like, if you're someone who's a professional, you're out there getting stuff done, you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you want to move your business forward, you want to push it forward, and at the same time you think you're not really the person who you are, or people think you are, and you're not good. I mean, clearly that is going to make it even more difficult for you to succeed. What do you think?
Yeah, if you are perfectionist and you feel like you have to do it yourself because it's not done well enough by others, that will interfere, working with a teamwork with team or with the expert that you don't feel that you know enough. So those,
Mhm.
from those five types, that's it's going to be extremely interfering or stressing yourself. Oh yeah, I have to do this or I have to appear certain way. I have to, that perfection is actually they do script conversations.
They script
So
themselves before they
that
go
must
and
be
talk to people. Is
extremely.
that what you
Yes, yes, because they
mean?
want to make sure that everything's going to appear certain way because they feel like others judging them, or they are in their minds they appear expectations that they will be expecting me to be this way or this way or that way because they're not accepting themselves as they are. That's why there's the question as am I worthy of their love? Am I worthy of their acceptance? Am I,
Mhm.
do I appear perfect enough to others? If they go, the acceptance factor, it's extremely difficult. So that's why they put more work by themselves. You know, it, especially as a business owner, that must be a hell of a task to survive in the business world.
Yeah, yeah. Because you're first of all, it has to be perfect, right? So if you can't put it out because it's not perfect, you're never going to put it out. How are you going to actually make money? That's going to be difficult. Number one, but then also because you're fearing you're going to fail, right? Your confidence is going to be undermined. You don't want to get any recognition, so you can't get the awards that people really need to get and see those trust seals when they see them on your website or when they see them under your name or even the letters that are under your name. Those type of things are really important for people to actually trust your business and move forward. And then burnout. If you're going to work super hard to get this one thing absolutely perfect, then you're probably going to burn out and not actually get to all the work that you need to do. I'm going to add another one here. I know personally, sometimes I stop myself from doing some things in my business, like getting on video. Can you believe this? Me, I'm scared sometimes to get on video, but I sometimes choose not to because I'm like, I don't know if I want to show up like this, or is everybody going to take what I say seriously or whatever? Meanwhile, how many people take my advice and get my information like all the time and are very, very happy to receive it? But that clearly imposter syndrome, like sneaking up and you deciding you're going to hide yourself instead of put yourself out there. What do you think?
You know what will stop me? No matter what painting I will produce, I will show it, and I
Yeah.
will like, look what I did. And I know that a lot of people won't like it. That won't
Yeah,
stop me from doing it. It's
that's
me.
perfect.
It's about me. Uh, it's not about being original. It's just being yourself.
Hmm.
It's just
Hmm.
simply being yourself and celebrating yourself, your achievements, your self-esteem, yourself. Just love yourself. It's the very difficult task to do, but it's worth it to work on it. It's really worth it.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
can see this particular syndrome being. Do you think that would be helpful to actors? I know the business people this
Oh.
will be difficult, but for actors, I think that'll be perfect trait, no?
Well, okay, so you tell me why it's perfect because you tell me why it's perfect because an interesting thing is there are a list of famous people who have admitted that they have this, and a lot of them are actors and performers. You tell me, why would you think it would be a good thing for an actor to have imposter syndrome?
It must be, in my opinion, it must be a lot of work to become somebody else.
Okay. Yes.
And with all the traits, with all the types, I think it would come much easier to a person like that to become somebody else because they're kind of used to that. They're becoming somebody else to please somebody. Like I was really shocked that perfectionists will script conversations just to make
Mm.
sure that everything will appear. They will be pleasing to others,
Yes.
you know, and it's not an easy task to just imagine this week you are working on this role, next month you're working on different role completely opposite to what you were becoming and studying on becoming let's say you are a single parent on in one role, month later you are this ruthless killer, and
Okay.
you have to be able to really detach yourself from who you are to become that particular character.
I guess in
No?
that way.
So with that
I
trait,
guess in that way. But the
yeah,
actual syndrome is more like they're literally. By the way, people, if you have or you feel like these are things that you can relate to, there are a lot of people out here who are famous, who are very known to be, great at what they do, uh, who who also feel as this they're an imposter and they need to be someone else. Uh, Jodie Foster saying the same thing. Tina Fey, the comedian. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is like, why am I,
wow.
one of the greatest actors, and everybody loves me when I don't feel like I'm like that. So I think it is possible. The way you're looking at it, like, oh, it's an imposter, so I have to become this other person. But I think
No,
for
no, it's it's not that working hard on becoming somebody else, to please
Okay.
somebody else,
Okay.
to work hard to just simply turn you know what I mean? It's not on pretending to be someone,
Right.
but putting the work
Yeah.
into it,
Yeah.
and behind what is exactly why they're doing it, to become somebody else, to work on, work as hard
Yeah.
as, that's what makes them great. I mean, how all those names that you mentioned, they are great of the greatest, you know,
Yeah.
especially Tom Hanks and Jodie Foster. I mean, like, come on, whatever, which country you're going to go to, mention that name, everyone knows who they are.
Let me read off the names.
So they just work harder.
Yeah. Listen, exactly. It makes them work harder. Michael Jackson. Just know is not just a great actress, Natalie Portman, who's not just a great actress, but I also know went to Harvard and is actually a very intelligent person. And every time she comes on SNL, it is ridiculously funny because she hits it. I mean, every single time. So not only is she good at drama and some action and whatever, but she can actually do comedy. And that's not easy to do. For you to switch from those people will tell you all the time, comedy is one of the hardest things to do. Neil Gaiman, who's a writer, he wrote this book called Sandman. This comic book I know of called Sandman. It's now like a Netflix series. Emma Watson. Well, she's a younger person, so I could see that. Like, you know, there's some of the younger people. Emma Watson from Harry Potter, right? It's something if you have this, you're in good company, but it's clearly you might actually be an overachiever if you have imposter syndrome. It's so interesting because it's clear that it's being it's a syndrome that is taken on. It's a feeling that is taken on by people who might actually be overachievers, people who have gotten way. Maya Angelou. Says
Wow.
she has, yeah, you know what I mean. So it's a very interesting thing. There are about three different things here where they say you should definitely do. You want to be aware of it. You want to advocate for yourself. You advocate for yourself because other people can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but apparently that doesn't work. You have to look and take a stock of
Mhm.
yourself and do it. And then they're saying action. You should take some sort of action. Like basically the stuff where you are planning and planning and planning and planning and planning and planning and don't do it because you're scared, because it's not perfect, because you're afraid that someone's going to judge you. Just do it. Go and take action. And what takes place, and I've known about this for a long time. I've read this book a while back about high achievers. Uh, Action is important because it feeds into what we call the confidence competence loop. In other words, every time you do something and do well at it, your confidence goes up because your competence went up. And so your confidence and competence keep on feeding into one another until that action, that consistent action, actually makes it so that you are a higher achiever than you were before. And it's really important to take action so that the action that you take, even if you are wrong, even if you make mistakes, you will now have learned from the mistakes that you made as opposed to not doing anything at all. And I hope I didn't go crazy about that because I'm really into that whole confidence competence loop thing. I'm
No, this is great.
I'm not I'm
This
not
is really
Elon Musk.
great.
I'm
Absolutely.
not. You like it? Right? I'm not Elon Musk who's like, I want to fail at everything. No, no, no. But I do want to push out more action, push out more data, push out more information, whatever. Hey, it is so good to talk to you about stuff like this. It's so funny because I keep saying to Agnes, This is my weekly therapy. This is my weekly therapy session. She should be charging me. But yeah, this is a
And my
great.
bill is in the mail. Don't worry.
But yeah, I saw this earlier this week. I was like, we've got to talk about this because it stayed with me all. I think the webinar was on Monday or Tuesday, and it stayed with me all week. I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to talk to Agnes about this and see if she thought about it or heard about it as well. Anyway, you have any final thoughts about this? About uh, 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 the imposter syndrome and whether or not you have it, Agnes, before I start to
Yes,
tell
I
people
found
some.
few things that are helpful. Yes, besides what you said. So it's
Mhm.
yeah. So stop comparing yourself to others. Stop fighting
Good.
your feelings.
Hmm.
Question your thoughts. Refuse to let let it hold you back. Take baby steps.
Action.
Assess your ability versus realistic ability,
Hmm.
and share your feelings.
Ah,
So
okay. Yes.
I hope that was helpful.
I hope so too. I think a lot of people might get a little something from this and feel like, oh, they're not the only ones out there. I'm telling you, you are in great company if you have imposter syndrome, because apparently some of the most people with the most accolades, people with the most who are looked up to, all feel the same way. They're like, who am I? What did I do? It's so funny. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to send us some information about this or want to discuss it, you can send that to mailbag at lovedeathandtaxes.com. That's where we have our email. And if you wanted to send us something or talk to us about a topic or suggest a topic, this is where you could go out and do that. Or if you have an issue with taxes, and that started on Monday, yes. If you have an issue with taxes, you want to see through that with
Yeah.
Agnes at nytaxresolutions.com. She is amazing at getting people out of issues and problems with it. My name is Ryan O'Neill Williams. And I'll tell you guys, we have been setting up new websites and getting new Google business profiles set up for local businesses for the first of the, through the first month of this month. We're now in February. Can you believe that we're in February already? And it is amazing what you can do with just little tweaks in your business and little online in your digital marketing. Please check me out if you want to do that. Go to hyperlocalhero.com, put in your information and let me know. But I feel as though it's really important for you local business owners. This topic is a great topic that we were talking about, imposter syndrome and how it can mess you up. But I'm telling you, you really need to do something about those. Oh my gosh, I saw a couple of websites the other day. I was like, oh, what are they doing? What? And you know it's bad. If you know it's bad, please, please reach out. Don't be so bad. But yes, ladies and gents, if you're having a problem with your tax resolutions, you got issues with your taxes, that's where you're going. If not, you're going to send us something hey, send us a letter. Say hi. We really enjoyed that conversation that you had, or we hated that conversation. Here's a better one. So go ahead and send that on to us at mailbag at Love, Death, and Taxes. All right, Agnes. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, that's right. Okay.